Hi, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Morgan. There's a sneak peek of what we're making today. We are making peach crisp with some canned peach pie filling and pre-made crumble topping. I have 2 quarts of home canned peach pie filling, and I'm going to add 1.5 quarts to my 8x8 square baking dish. I just love seeing that vacuum seal of the lids and watching that pie filling release from the top. So I'm going to add 2 cups out of this quart into my dish as well. I wanted to have enough for my sister and her husband. They were coming over and having dinner with us. And now I had some pre-made crumble topping. We made that in my apple pie video, and I'm just spreading it evenly over the top, trying to get it into every little nook and cranny. This was such an easy dessert to throw together since everything was already pre-made. It's just throw the pie filling in, put the crumble topping on, and then put it in the oven. We're gonna bake it at 350 for probably 45 to 50 minutes. I started at 30 minutes and then did 5-minute increments until the topping was nice and golden brown. Now we are going to get started on our bratwurst and potato sheet pan dinner. This is so easy. I am doubling this recipe so we can have 1 for dinner tonight and sticking 1 in the freezer for later. So what you need is 10 russet potatoes, 2 onions, whichever type you prefer. I'm using sweet onions, 2 bell peppers. The seasonings you need are salt, pepper, thyme, paprika, garlic powder, and onion powder. And then the liquids we need are avocado oil, soy sauce or soy sauce alternative, like I'm using liquid aminos, and Worcestershire sauce. So I am dicing up 5 potatoes into about 1-inch cubes and getting them into my floury bowl there on my left. And then I will be cutting up 5 more potatoes into the same size, just diced into about 1-inch cubes, and getting them into a freezer safe bag. You can really be as creative as you want when making this kind of sausage and potato sheet pan dinner. For the sausage, I'm using bratwurst, but you could use kielbasa, smoked sausage, cheddar brats, jalapeno brats, whatever you want to use. And same thing with the potatoes. You could use sweet potatoes or the little golden mashed potatoes, whatever you have on hand or prefer. Be as creative as you want. Like, you can leave out the peppers, you could add carrots, or if you have zucchini, just swap it out with whatever produce you have. It is such an easy recipe to customize to your liking. I absolutely love cooking for others, so I'm so glad my sister and her husband decided to come over and have dinner with my family tonight. I love hosting, and especially if I can wear a comfy hoodie and sweatpants and there's no judgment. That's my favorite way of hosting. So I am now cutting up the 2 bell peppers. These are both bell peppers from my garden, and I got only about 2 big peppers like this out of the entire season since I was picking them faster than what they would grow. So I'm adding the yellow bell pepper into the meal for tonight, and then I'll be cutting up the red bell pepper and getting that one into the freezer bag. And I'm just chopping them into about the same size of the potatoes into about 1-inch cubes. It sure is bittersweet when the garden season comes to the end because you're in such a rush to preserve everything that's coming out of the garden, and by the end of the season you're overwhelmed and you're just so glad for it to be over. But as soon as it's over, it's like, man, I wish I could just go outside and get my hands dirty again and get back into the garden, but we will just have to wait for next season. But for now, I'm chopping 1 of the sweet onions and getting it into my bowl. And then I will be chopping up the other one and getting it into the freezer bag. And I am dicing these into pretty small chunks. I don't want anyone to get a huge bite of onion, so I would say they were maybe about 1 centimeter in size. And like I said, I'm using sweet onions, but you could use red onions or white onions. Those would be really good in this. Just whatever you have on hand or prefer. Now that we have all of our produce chopped from our cutting board, we are going to chop up the meat. And I'm not really worried about cross-contamination because it's all going in the same dish, but I wanted to cut my produce first and then cut the meat on the cutting board, just in case I wanted to save any onion or potato and set that aside. I always try to follow good food safety practices. But I am cutting these bratwursts into about 1-inch pieces. I'm taking these 5 links from the first package and getting them into my bowl. And then I'm taking the second package and doing the same thing, cutting them into 1-inch pieces. And then I will get them into the freezer bag. And then all we have left is seasonings. And I realized I should have washed my knife off and sharpened it before I was cutting these bratwursts, because it was fine cutting through the vegetables, but my knife trying to cut through the casing on the bratwurst, it was a little bit of a struggle. On to the liquids and seasonings. So I'm adding 1/4 cup of avocado oil to the bowl in the bag. I should have probably only done 1/8 of a cup, but you live and you learn. I'm adding 1/4 cup of liquid aminos to both, and I probably would have done 1/2 cup. I'm adding 1/8 of a cup of Worcestershire sauce to the bowl in the bag. Now I'm adding 1 teaspoon of onion powder to both the bowl and the bag, and also 1 teaspoon of garlic powder to each as well. One teaspoon of paprika to each, 1 teaspoon of fresh ground black pepper to each, 1 teaspoon of thyme to each, and I'm using dried, but you could use fresh if you have it. And last but not least, 1 teaspoon of salt to each. And then I'll be adding 1 tablespoon of minced garlic to the bowl and the bag. Now that everything's in our bowl, we're just gonna get it all stirred up and get everything nice and evenly coated. And I will zip the bag up, mix it all together, and then throw that in the freezer. Now I'm taking the bowl of sausage and potatoes and getting that onto a baking sheet, and I will spread it all out into a nice even layer, and then we'll be getting it in the oven. I have my oven preheated to 400 degrees, and I'm going to get it in there, and we will be baking it for 45 minutes to an hour. I baked mine for about an hour. And I'll be getting this bag in the freezer. If you try these recipes, make sure to let me know down in the comments below. I hope you give them a try. Thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And if you want some more to watch, I will leave some links on the screen now.